Sign this is come to the meeting, you'll hear us.
Yep. Okay. Budgetary transfer.
Board is asked to approve the attached budgetary transfer for the purchase of an iBoss web filter at a cost of $1,730.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
What's an iBoss web filter?
What is this exactly?
Yeah. Do you want to, Steve, can you explain what the iBoss web filter is?
Our web filter gets you on websites where you wouldn't want them to.
Oh.
Okay. So like if you were at home, it would be a parent control filter type thing. That's what this is.
On the Chromebooks, it doesn't work with anything.
Okay. Right. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Geyer,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Fike,
Yes.
Mr. Frund,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries, 7 yes, 2 absent.
Post and advertise the position of Assistant Superintendent of Schools.
Board is asked to authorize its proper administrators to create, post, and advertise the position of Assistant Superintendent of Schools.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I have something I'd like to say. I received a phone call from a very distressed person who told me that, in fact, this is a position that's being advertised that has already been promised to another individual, with a guarantee that that individual will then get the permanent position after that. If this is true,
I didn't promise nothing.
excuse me, I'm speaking.
I'm speaking
If this
too.
is-
I didn't promise nothing to anybody.
Let me know whenever she's done.
Oh, I'm done. Go ahead.
If in fact this is true, I'm concerned about an issue of fraud. As an individual school board member, when you vote on something legally, you have the right to vote any way you want. No one can challenge it. But if in fact this is a fraudulent advertisement, and anybody who votes on it, you're on your own in terms of any legal concerns. I am asking point blank, has this position been discussed with or offered to any person prior to posting this position tonight?
Who are you asking?
You can answer, Michelle, if you want to.
No, this board has not promised a position to anybody.
Okay.
I already answered that question for you, though.
So if I were to contact this individual, and I was given the name of the person who was promised the job, they would swear under oath that they have not been contacted and promised this job. Is that correct?
Are you going to court?
There's no reason to speculate as to what this person may or may not say or whether this person actually exists. From what I'm hearing, this sounds like baseless speculation. So I'm just interjecting to say that we are...
I am concerned as an elected school board member about the potential for fraud. That's my concern.
Is there any other discussion?
If in fact this position has been promised to somebody,
So
we have no
Dr.
right
Fike,
as a board
Dr.
to
Fike, I will
advertise it
swear
politically.
to you in a court of law that I have not reached out to I personally have not reached out to any individual in regards to this position.
I will contact the person who called me and tell them that you said that.
That's fine. You can do that. I have not reached out to anybody about this
You've
position.
clarified the
Yep.
position. You've answered my question. It has not happened.
No, it has
I think
not
one
happened.
thing that we've tried really hard as a board to do is to go through these jobs, all of them, whether it be custodian, teacher, guidance counselor, admin, and make sure we're doing the interviews the right way and bringing in as many people as we can.
I have no question about that. My question, Christie, was, has this job been promised? That's
Is there any
all I
other
asked.
discussion?
The answer is
Are you saying that Michelle actually promised somebody?
no.
I actually don't think
No. She asked.
Okay,
she
so
said,
then
who
why are
answers
you
the
even
question?
bringing this up?
have a
I
question.
answered the question.
Answer the
I cannot personally answer for any other member of this board, but what I can tell you is that nobody is having conversations that have occurred in executive, outside of executive, except a certain member of this board. Is there any other discussion?
Good.
I think we should go around the room and and everybody can say that we have not discussed anything as far as with some individual
I don't
for.
have to answer, Dr. Fike.
We're not answering. I answered as president of this board. I've answered the
Promise.
question.
I have a second concern about this. We already have a superintendent of schools and an assistant to the superintendent. Is this a third position that is going to be added?
Correct. Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. O'Rear,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Fike,
No.
Mr. Frund,
Yes.
Mrs. Geyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 6 yes, 1 no, 2 absent.
Assistant Superintendent of Schools job description.
Board is asked to approve the job description for Assistant Superintendent of Schools.
I need a motion.
I thought we just did this.
This is for the job description.
Oh.
Make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
How is this job description different from the one that we have now, the person's job description now who's filling this job?
There is one thing that needs to be changed in this that I see. It's number 23. Serves as Title IX coordinator. That should be removed. Also, number 24 should be removed.
Should we amend that then?
Can we just make a motion to amend, to remove items number 23 and 24? Those are duties
Yeah.
that are assigned to Dr. Clara.
Yes, they can be stricken from the attached job description.
Yeah, 25 is transportation.
I mean, so it's just to supervise that individual instead of Mr. Masha supervising. I see. I'm sorry, Lee, did you say that we could remove 23 and 24?
That's correct.
So do I need a motion to amend the job description?
Yes, I would move to amend the attached job description
Is
to
there any-
strike those two paragraphs and then to renumber any subsequent paragraphs. So, the 25 would become 23, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll make the motion.
Was that your motion?
Second.
Who is our Title IX coordinator right now?
Dr. Clara?
And he also manages the federal programs.
Yes, he does.
So this person will not do that.
Correct. Okay, so I have a motion to amend. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Now I need to have a motion to approve the job description, removing items number 23 and 24 and renumbering the
So
remaining
moved.
paragraphs.
Second.
Discussion? Do I need a roll call here, Lee, or can we do this by voice vote?
You can do it by voice vote because this is simply the description.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
I need a motion to end the voting session.
So moved.
I need a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I'm going to call the meeting to order for the discussion portion. Roll call.
Dr. Fike,
Yes, here.
Mr. Friend,
Here.
Mrs. Geyer. Here. Mr. Lizza is absent. Mrs. O'Rear. Here. Mr. Polakowski.
Here.
Mr. Shipley is absent. Mrs. Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here. Mr. Shipley and Mr. Lizza did notify us and were asked to be excused from tonight's meeting. Are there any citizens' comments?
I have none.
We have several presentations this evening. The first one is from Garland, presentation on infrared scan of the roofs. Are you needing to project anything during this, or are you just talking? Okay, so we'll have to go down below.
Are we done with the voting? We're done with all the voting, right?
Yes.
I'm done.
You're done.
This is so ridiculous.
I thought you were right. He's like, I don't think it matters. You can be like a social. Oh, really?
It's so rare. Is that going to clear that table?
Stand over here. I brought the. Good, how are you? Thank you. That? Yeah.
We see as it is now.
All right, we'll get started. So you guys have a couple presenters tonight. I want to thank you guys for welcoming us back. Thank you for stocking the water up for us here. I know I was having some issues last time. So again, I'm Grant Canterbury. It's Chris Fellers from the Garland Company. I'm going to go off of the same presentation we used last time. I'm just going to quickly recap. I'm not going to expect you to remember exactly who we are from a couple months ago, but Garland, who we are, is a full-service manufacturer of building envelope products, mostly roofing and waterproofing. We're a 100% employee-owned company, and we call ourselves a full-service manufacturer. So that's kind of what I want to inform you about today, is kind of our capabilities beyond just being a producer of roofing materials and waterproofing materials. All right. So this is where we left off last time, and I think I told you that we were working on the analysis of basically what's going on with some of your roofs and masonry on the two facilities you have, the complex and the high school. And last time we were here, we had finished our photographic condition summary, done some core samples, and we'd asked you to move forward with the infrared scan of the roofs. And that has been completed at this point. And so here's our kind of summary page of the condition of the complex. And overall, it's in good condition. The roof's about 14 years old. It has 6 or 7 years left on its life. And there was just some suggestions we have to, do some preventative maintenance, like changing the oil on your car, basically. And what the infrared scan was able to do is look beyond into the roof and see if there's any wet insulation or leaks happening that we can't pinpoint, which there have been some reported leaks on this building. So here are the areas, the diagram of the areas that had some wet insulation. Mostly it was over in the middle school there. Here's what those pictures look like. I know we discussed them last time. Basically, the sun heats the roof up during the daytime. Then once the sun sets, the spots that are wet are left warmer. So you can see there's a couple spots we marked on the roof. And we'll continue to make sure those are marked until maybe some corrective action is able to be taken place. But at this time, we'd recommended, you go through the proper steps to maybe make a warranty claim and see if anything was covered by warranty for these instances of wet insulation. What we wanted to focus on today, and we have, again, a lot of pictures and things and suggestions for the complex still to get you by for the next 6 years, but we wanted to focus on a more urgent priority, which is your high school roof. So this roof is 23 years old, has a lifespan of 20 years, so it's about 3 years past its expected life expectancy. And there was a significant more wet insulation revealed from the infrared scan on this roof. So here are the pictures of those images of the scans. So a lot of the penetrations, flashings, and areas of the roof were wet. So dive a little deeper with some more photographic images of what's going on at the high school. So there's some leaks going on that have been persistent in classrooms, faculty rooms, been hard to find. These are some pictures of the flashings, which are basically the vertical sections of the roof. They're aged, they're torn up. There are some leak points there. Mostly, the bottom left corner is an example of a normal drain that's functioning. That's probably the original drain. Most of the drains on the roof have been repaired, patched. And the bottom two, you can see they're kind of a little different strainer type. That indicates that they're a retrofit drain. So that drain has been basically replaced because it's had issues. So a lot of issues with drains on the high school roof. One of the very first leaks we were called in to solve was one in the bottom left corner back in the wintertime. And there's a lot of splits going on in the roof. And the top left picture is actually the repair we did to that with some roofing mastic to seal that up. But there's a lot of splits that happen and occur with an aging roof. And basically what those are is bare, exposed felts on the roof that have no waterproofing on them and allow water into the roof system, which may result in some of the wet insulation. Additional splits going through the roof system. And these are pitch pans. What they are is basically you have some pipe supports going through the roof that are holding the HVAC equipment up there, and those need to be sealed with a pourable sealer. And most of those, you want them nice and soft and sealed, and they're hard and dried out, and there are also leak points which have possibly led to the wet insulation on the roof. Okay, so from there, that's basically the summary of your two roofs you have. The high school, again, a little bit worse conditions probably at this point. Our solutions are for that building. Well, quickly, we'll say here. The complex short-term plan, do some repairs, and then we've also put together a long-term plan that, gets you the best, makes you be able to use what you have now and most cost-effectively restore that for another period of time. Anyway, here are those scope of work of the repairs we came up with for the complex, which you guys are considering. Very detailed, clear-cut repairs identified. Here are those restoration options we're looking at down the road for you, considering on different sections, different roof systems, different types, best that fit best. And this here is the diagram and recommendations for the high school. Most of it's in bad condition, and it's past its life expectancy of 20 years. We recommend replacement at this time. Repairs really would be throwing some good money at a situation where nothing good can happen. Okay, so we've come up with some suggestions. There's many suggestions of roof system types we can go with, but we kind of recommended one similar to what you have now, as well as there's some masonry issues, which we talked about last time, and those emergency repairs, we'll talk about those here briefly. I'll give you an update on those. But we have some additional suggestions for things you could do to keep the building watertight down the road. And I showed you this slide last time. This is a roof asset plan we put together for another district, and we put one together for your district as well, and that's been presented to your administration. So let me talk more about how we can help you move forward with any of these things. And quickly, I'll show you, just some references. I think I mentioned last time, 70% of Garland's business in K-12 schools were more of an institutional type client base, universities, hospitals, and schools. Many in Westmoreland County and the surrounding counties as well. But as a full-service manufacturer, one of the next biggest benefits you have by working with us is we can do design. And again, like I said, roofing and waterproofing. If you want to do, us design, let's say new classrooms or HVAC, that's not us. So, but if you say, hey, we want to do some roofing and waterproofing, we're the guys. So what are things we can help with? Pretty much everything that's needed in the public sector to really accomplish a project that you would, of your caliber would want to achieve. So we can put together specifications. We'll make sure all our construction documents are code compliant. We develop them; they're easy to use for the contractors. And sometimes we have to get licensed professionals also to help with those designs. We'll put together, the typical CSI format specifications, probably many of which you've used on your previous projects and other projects you have going on. We always do our due diligence when it comes to engineering the roof. We're not just going up there and winging it, So we make sure that the roof's not going to blow off when, just like we had this week, some pretty bad storms come through. We'll do snow load calculations, drainage calculations, structural assessments of the building and the structure below if needed, asbestos testing, which we've already looked into, as it was done back in 1999 for you guys on the high school. And we'll make sure every little detail is identified and designed properly. It only takes one bad detail for a leak, and then one leak makes a leaky roof. So we try to make sure that there are no leaks. We'll develop the drawings. This is actually a drawing we already developed for the high school. What I haven't done yet is some new drainage calculations and designs. This is one I've done for a university nearby. And that's the additional drainage calculation, drainage design we put together for them. And then we also can help with the next phase, which is moving forward and procuring the project. What you're probably familiar with, the traditional approach, is you have here's you up here, the school district, and you have some sort of design professional, an architect or consultant. Okay, and you go out to public bid, and anyone who wants to approach the bid and take a shot at it, which could be, let's say contractor 1, 2, and 3. Their materials can come from a number of different places. Can come from a distributor who comes from a manufacturer, or a distributor that gets it from another bigger distributor who gets it from a manufacturer, or they can go direct to the manufacturer. So with our approach, it's more streamlined. There's less points of contact in the process. So as a full-service manufacturer, we're doing the design, we've already done the inspection, and we're bringing in qualified contractors to perform our work. So, when you do the public bid process, you kind of open yourself up to usually the lowest bidder who meets the specifications. So, one benefit of working with Garland. Another benefit we have, which is, the references I showed earlier, about 90% of the school districts we work with have used these purchasing cooperative we're a part of. And this purchasing cooperative was a competitively bid, awarded cooperative that meets all the state statutes for purchasing. Okay, and like I said, 90% of them have used it in our region, and you guys actually are already a member of Omnia Partners. So,
just to interject, Pam this past week had reached out to us and requested the reference sheet, which I believe has been uploaded to the board for review. In addition to that, she had requested a couple of just personal references and points of contact at local districts. We provided 3 within Westmoreland County with active projects, with local contractors that we've completed successful projects with, as well as another active project going on in Lawrence County with Newcastle area school district. So I'm not sure if she's had a chance to reach out. I believe she has. Just to double back on that point, of all the projects in districts that we've worked with, obviously each district could have multiple buildings. We could have 3, 4, 5, 6 schools themselves and buildings within a district, and then they're not always completing a full entire roof project at the same time. A lot of times they're done in phases or sections based upon previous warranties, previous problems, ones that are more problematic with leaks, ones that have maintained and kind of lasted the test of time and then some, and they're trying to get a little extra life out of it. Of that list of references, again, it was around 90% have utilized Omnia Partners in one of those types of procurement processes, which Grant will explain next. And the 10% that's remaining, examples of those types of projects would be if an ESCO was brought in, an energy savings cooperative, we would write the specifications and work with the ESCO and work with the district through the ESCO to provide roofing solutions for restorations or replacements. The other balance of that 10% typically is done with expansion projects where there's an architect involved that's required for the other trades, such as HVAC, such as building expansions, new classrooms, new gymnasiums, auditoriums. So that's the remainder of the balance of that 10% where we're not working typically directly with the school district. In those instances, a lot of the times we are tapped by the architects to provide the scopes of work and the specifications and assist in the design aspect of the roof. Not all, but most.
In any scenario, someone doesn't call us up and our material ships out the door and we don't know where it's going. So we're always heavily involved from start to finish with our jobs. So just talk about the Omnia Partners again. That's one it's a very successfully used co-op that, again, like most of the schools use. There's a number of different ways you can proceed using it. And one option is a material-only purchase. So what the school would do is work with Garland, still in the same similar manner we talked about, and then you would purchase materials directly from Garland. And the benefit of that is you can utilize the contract price, avoid contractor markup, and the tax that they have to pay. So there's some savings there. And then for the labor, you'd have a separate contract, a second contract with your awarded contractor that you would publicly bid and advertise and go through the normal process you go through. The second option was to do a full turnkey project with Garland, where we manage basically going out to bid with the different contractors. You wouldn't have to advertise, and it's just a much simpler process. And again, because the contract's already awarded to Garland DBS, who is our general contracting firm, you're able to use this type of method. So in this instance, in one instance, we would invite our approved contractors, I would say let's give an example of the high school project, anywhere between 5 to 10 contractors would bid on it, and then you would choose one of that you'd like to award the project to. The third option is, let's say Southmoreland School District really liked working with XYZ Roofing and trusted them and wanted to guarantee that they're working with XYZ Roofing. That is also an option. But that XYZ Roofing would still be bidding against the contract price at that point to be awarded the job. So they would have to submit a bid, and as long as it met the Omnia Partners pricing, line item pricing, it would be able to be used.
At the end, we welcome any questions to further explain the Omnia purchasing co-op. I think we'll probably get into a little bit of it now to get into some of the details. But what it does is it's a purchasing cooperative program that Southmoreland School District participates in, even prior to us coming into the district. And it assists in allowing them to work directly while meeting all required state statutes of the bidding process.
So again, how we help with the bid assistance is, again, we have approved contractors we bring in. If you wanted to do a full, they say, go your traditional method of going to full public bid, we can also help with that as well. So we help you put together an advertisement. We help run the pre-bid meeting. We review the scope of work with all the bidders. Any questions, addendums I need issued, we'd also help with that process. And then once bids come in, we'd help you review the bid, make sure that they're acceptable and they would be something you want to move forward with. From there, let's say you award a project, we're also involved with project management. So we help hold the pre-construction meeting, make sure we're coordinating with the school, any activities going on, people working here, and then we're on the job pretty much every other day, if not every day, doing on-site inspections with the contractors. We'll provide you progress reports, meetings throughout the project, and always have a post-job inspection. We'll probably have to have one actually for the masonry work that was done just recently. We'll do project planning, provide schedules for you, how the project's going to be, a timeline for it. And again, we'll do inspections on the job. And basically we're there to make sure the specifications are adhered to, troubleshoot with the contractors, be their ally, and help answer their questions, make their job easier, and handle, there's always issues that come up on projects, and we try to make things go as smoothly as possible.
It's an additional layer of oversight to watch the job. We would be on site. We don't understand currently, there's an open position for the facility director, and that would kind of segue into some of our showcase and some of our strengths of what would make sense. We're there to watch the job and make sure that it's installed correctly, because ultimately we're the ones that own the warranty, especially as an employee-owned company. We'll own the warranty for the life span, but which today's systems and what we have proposed are 30-year systems.
Then we can provide progress reports going on with the project. We'd give these to probably Pam, and she'd probably share these at the meetings with you guys. In fact, we'll share one right now with you guys on the masonry work. So you guys were made aware of the issues there. Here's some before and after pictures of, there's the coping right in front of the school. You can see the nice, freshly caulked head joints on all the coping stones above the front facade of the building. The underside where bricks and mortar were falling out beneath people walking under those walkways have been ground out and caulked. Here's a close-up of one of those mortar joints where you have absolutely no mortar joint here, and now a freshly caulked mortar joint. And Wilson Restoration actually went above and beyond and actually did a couple of repairs that they were not expected to. So the side entryways, which were not emergency repairs right here, they caulked those ones, redid those joints, and just some of the couple courses of brick down near the ground that had been deteriorated from salt and things like that. They ground those out and remortared those joints as well. So very pleased with that. There was a nice, also this was right in front. This is the first thing you see as soon as you walk up. They made sure to fill that gap in there too. So. Okay, so then once the project's complete, we're the one you call when any issues come up. And we'll make sure we, for instance, on the birthday of your roof, first year, we'll come out and do an inspection, and we'll make sure you're doing all the preventative maintenance you need to make sure that roof meets its life expectancy. We're a 125-year-old company. We have a 5A1 credit rating, the best rating you can get in the industry. We stand behind our warranties proudly, probably better than any manufacturer. We have one of the lowest warranty claim rates in the industry. And, again, we're doing that due diligence design to make sure there are no issues down the road. And, again, when you have an issue, pick up the phone. Most people only have one person to call. Me and Chris are both here. You got two. So, but in summary, what can we offer you? And I guess this is our sales pitch to you about why you wouldn't want to work with Garland. Is number one, we're providing quality, and our products are the highest quality membranes in the industry. We're making sure we're designed to International Building Code, International Energy Code. Frequently inspecting these jobs. We're using qualified contractors, and we're making sure every detail is designed properly. And again, like I said, providing annual inspections free of charge.
Just a note on the contractors themselves from a safety standpoint. In order to do projects with Garland and install our roofs, they need to meet our qualifications. And one of those, of course, is safety. There are background checks, FBI clearances, fingerprinting that's provided prior to any contractors being on site. That's done before they step foot. So just from a safety aspect, know that they are there's full background checks on the contractors.
Some additional value provided, again, life cycle costing. We have the Omnia Partners contract, which is, again, highly used. We streamline the construction process, and we minimize those soft costs. All the design, inspections, things like that. They have a $0 value on them. Cost to you. So, but in summary, really the biggest thing is we have accountability when it comes to roofs. Again, we're an employee-owned company. Okay, so we're involved from the beginning to the end. Where we've been here analyzing your roof, providing reports. We're coming up with a design. We're supplying our material. There are Garland-approved contractors on these jobs. We're inspecting, making sure they're installing it the right way, and then we're holding the warranty. So when any issues come up, there's only one person that has accountability and you can rely on, which is quite different than most of the traditional processes for projects in the public sector. That's about it. Thank you for your time and going through those 60 slides we had there. Try to go as fast as possible. Is there any questions we could answer for you?
We completed a couple of inspections. I was on site yesterday. At the end of the day, that's where some of those photos came from, drone access. And then Grant was here today as well as inspecting. And they're expected to wrap up and complete everything tomorrow.
You'll get that lift out of there.
Small project, but
All right. Well, thank you all very much, and thanks for the opportunity to keep working with you, and let us know any way we could help you out.
We're at the point where we need to look at our remote learning options, and I have, in an effort to inform the board, I have brought two organizations in. The first one will be Rebecca Henderson and her team from WIU 7, with E-Academy Solo, who we are currently using, and Sam Pickering from EduSeer, who will be presenting after that. So I'm going to turn things over to Rebecca and her team.
Sorry. Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. My name is Becky Henderson. I am the Distance Learning Supervisor for Westmoreland Intermediate Unit located in Greensburg. And I'm here tonight to talk about E-Academy and SOLA and the partnership that we have as your Regional Education Association for Westmoreland County. We are going to figure out how to, there we go. So I want to start by talking a little bit about Westmoreland Intermediate Unit. As an education service agency, it is our job to support all of the school districts in Westmoreland County to the best of our ability and to meet your individual needs as districts. We do not go through and say, we know exactly what you need. Instead, we are partners and we work together to collaborate to understand your needs. The mission of the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit, this is one of the few things that I will read word for word on the presentation tonight. The Westmoreland Intermediate Unit's mission is to provide a collective support system to enhance educational opportunities for our community and the students we serve. That means we have to understand your communities. And we're able to do that because we are in your community. We are from the county. We want to make sure that anything that we work with you on is something that truly does meet the needs of your students, your staff, and your community. So it is important for me to make sure that you understand that we are a service agency. This is not about sales for us. It is our job to help you build your capacity in anything that we can help you with. It is our job to make sure that you and your district has a far-reaching impact on the students and the families that you serve. And we want you to take ownership in the work that you do, and it is our job to support you in that. Over the past, I would say about 20 years, we started to realize that there was a need for distance learning services in the county, because we started to see that there were a lot of students leaving our schools to go to cyber charter schools. And that comes with a hefty price tag. So as we started to really refine what our services could look like, yes, that does include e-Academy and e-Academy Plus, but it also includes professional development. We work with all of our districts to make sure that administrators and teachers understand how to deliver effective instruction in a virtual learning environment, whether that is in-house through e-Academy or an extension of that, like we saw over the past 2 years due to the pandemic. We are your local connection to CETA, which is the State Education Technology Directors Association. We do not have a Director of Technology Education in the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Instead, we are your liaison to them. So we go to meetings and we get reports from them, and we work at a national level to make sure that we understand the latest trends, the latest tools, and the latest challenges when it comes to implementing technology in the classroom, whether that is online learning, digital tools, or bringing in content from a third-party vendor. And we want to make sure that that can effectively be used in the classroom. We also work with our districts to help understand and implement open educational resources so that teachers can develop culturally relevant content that meets the needs of their students, so that students can see themselves in their content. Finally, we know that our districts rely on vendors for a wide variety of programs and tools, and we think that's wonderful. One of the things that we do is we help to connect you to vendors, and we work together with the entire county to make sure that we can secure the lowest pricing possible for any vendor that you may want to use, so that not one district is getting better pricing than another. In fact, earlier today, we actually had a countywide webinar with Renaissance Learning so that we could talk about the products that they offer and the special pricing that they have secured countywide for our schools. And of course, we know that our districts like to do some of this on their own, and they don't necessarily want us to be involved, and that's fine. But we also offer evaluation services on digital products, programs, and tools. If you find something that you think really meets your needs, but you want another opinion, and for the board members in the room, you do have a copy of this evaluation tool in your folder so that you can take a look at it if you'd like. And please feel free to use it as well. That tool is something that we are happy to run through and evaluate a program on for you. Our job is to make sure that we are helping you to the best of our ability, no matter what that is. But tonight we're here to talk about online learning and what our options are going forward and what we can really do to make sure that Southmoreland has a strong online component to the instruction that they deliver to their students. So, anytime it comes to that time where somebody says it's time for us to look at our options, it usually starts with a bunch of questions. Typically, these 6 larger questions filter down into one question. So we start with, who's going to use this? Who's currently using it? What do they think about it? Who are the teachers involved? And who's going to be enrolled into these courses? Specifically in our district, who do we think will enroll in the courses? What courses do we have access to, and where's the content coming from? What's it like? Is it interactive? Is it just a lot of reading? Are there a lot of video components? And how are we going to be supported as we use this tool? All of this really comes down to one main question, though. Who is responsible for the success of our online option? What we have found over the past 15 years in working with all of our districts in Westmoreland County is that it takes an effort from every stakeholder for an online option to be successful. It's why you're going to see the word "our" on these slides a lot. These are not my students. They are not just your students. They are our students together. We want to make sure that you understand that when I say our consortium, that's you and me together. Our consortium comprises the districts in Westmoreland County. Our teachers are local teachers in Westmoreland County schools. Our students are the students in our community. When I say our courses, I mean that we have developed courses 100% from scratch, aligned to our curriculum in the building so that we can eliminate that instructional gap that presents itself when a student leaves the classroom to go online and then decides they need to go back into the classroom for whatever reason. Our content is personalized to Westmoreland County. A lot of times when you see a vendor, they're selling something to a national audience, and that's a great thing because there's a lot of diversity in those resources. But sometimes students in Westmoreland County can't connect to a scenario that talks about a student who's walking 3 city blocks and then taking a subway to go somewhere because they've never experienced that. Instead, our teachers are developing scenarios that make sense for their students. And then, of course, our response system, our support system. We are in this together 100% of the time, every day. I don't make overarching decisions. I reach out to our districts. We collaborate. We work together to make sure that every student feels supported and every student feels valued. And in all of this, we maintain that connection to their home district because they are our students, not someone else's. So I want to dig into each of these a little bit for you, and the first is our consortium. We've been working together since 2008. 10 of our school districts came to us and said, we have a problem and we need a solution. Too many students are leaving to go to cyber charter schools. What can we do? All of these districts came to the table with us, led by Tim Hamill, who is sitting in the room tonight, the godfather of E-Academy, as I like to call him. And they said, Tim, what can we put together that makes sense? And they looked at all of the options that were out there. And what that group together landed on was the fact that we needed something that was personalized and student-centered for Westmoreland County. So we created E-Academy. And please know that if you look on all of these districts' websites, and these are just the starting 10, there are now 21 districts that are using E-Academy in a variety of ways. They don't all call it E-Academy. At Southmoreland, it's SOLA. Another district has ECAT. We have ePride. We have other districts' online academies. Some districts do choose to use E-Academy. But at the end of the day, E-Academy is in the background. Our staff is here to support you. We are not the stars of the show. These are the trends, and this is what has happened over the past 20 years now. The chart on the left shows statewide cyber charter school tuition payments and cyber charter school enrollments from the 7-8 school year up until the 19-20 school year. You can see those numbers are just consistently going up. On the right, this is what we saw in Westmoreland County. The blue line on the right is your average cost per regular education student for cyber charter enrollments, and the red is the average cost per special ed student, countywide. That was a problem for us, and that was something that we wanted to work for. These charts are what keep us supporting you because those numbers keep getting higher and higher. But our greatest asset in all of this, beyond our collaboration with our districts, is our teachers, because they're your teachers. You can see all of the districts right now, all of the education entities that have teachers in this program. We are very lucky. We have our first teacher from Southmoreland who started with us a few years ago, and she is absolutely phenomenal. And our students love interacting with her. You can see Bell Vernon, Burl, Derry, Franklin Regional, Greater Latrobe, Greensburg, Salem, Kiski, Yock. I'm not going to name them all. They're all right there for you. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. These are people that you know. One of my favorite stories to tell is the fact that I had a teacher reach out to me after my first year, and she said, I was taking my son home. He had a soccer game, and he did really well, so I wanted to treat him to some ice cream. So I went to Dairy Queen, and we weren't in our neighborhood. We weren't in our school district. We went through the drive-thru, and when I pulled up to the drive-thru, the girl that was handing me my ice cream said, Mrs. Hips, it's you. And I looked at her, and she was one of my E-Academy students, and I knew her right away, and I actually pulled off to the side, and we had a 10-minute conversation. I checked in to see how she was doing. Those two never would have met each other or interacted without E-Academy. And that's just, I love that story so much. These are your neighbors. Our teachers have some really rigorous requirements. This is from the E-Academy teacher job description. They need to have their degree and their PA Department of Education certification, and they must be actively employed in one of our districts right now. These are not retired teachers. These are not teachers that have not had any classroom experience. The whole point of E-Academy and SOLA and ECAT and ePride is to take this program and make it a natural extension of what's happening in the classroom. There is cohesion and consistency across the board. And I will not read this word for word for you, but you can see the responsibilities of our teachers. They are required to annually review and revise and update their courses. Their courses are not static. They are living, breathing courses. They take the data from their students and the feedback from their students, and they update them every year to make them rigorous and relevant. When standards change, like we know that the science standards will be updating soon, the teachers go through and they make sure that course still meets the standards, still makes sense for the curriculum, and still works for the students. And they collaborate with you. They reach out to districts all the time to gain better insight on students, to make sure that they understand what they can do to help students succeed. I wanted to put this up here. This is a chart that shows student enrollments and course enrollments. And I wanted to do this for two reasons. One, I want you to understand the trends that we see in the county. And this goes back to the 17-18 school year when I started with the intermediate unit. What we see, and what we always see, there will be more enrollments than students every time because most students take more than one course. You can see when COVID hit, you can see the spike in enrollments. But if you look at that last line, the 21-22 school year, you can see a significant drop. If I was in sales, I'd be concerned about that because I'd be worried about meeting my quota, but luckily I'm not. That to me is a good sign. That means that everyone is starting to relax a little bit. Everyone's starting to realize that it is safe to be back together again. We do see a slight increase year after year in the students in the courses that they're taking, but it is not a huge increase. I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot predict the future, but what I can tell you is my trends are showing me that the numbers are going to drop again next year. And they are going to start to level out closer to the numbers that we see during 1920. And we will see it continue to slowly increase again as students need more and more flexibility. Specifically in the district, and these numbers actually are able to go back to the 15-16 school year. These are the district's numbers, students that want to be online. In 15-16, it was 13 students. The year after that, it dropped down to 4. Then it went back up to 15. 18-19, there was a bit of a spike for the district. They went up to 38, and then it dropped down again. But we're still hovering at very conservative and low numbers countywide. So your spike in 2021 was absolutely COVID related, but you can see it's already dropping. It's also important to understand who these students are. And I have your overall statistics for how many males, how many females, how many students that are classified as special education, who has IEPs, GIEPs. It's all there. The bottom one is the one that I want you to focus on. Historically, most of the district's enrollments are coming from seniors. They're looking for a little more flexibility. That may be because they have part-time jobs and they want to be able to go to work earlier. That may be because of athletics. That may be because they're having a hard time fitting a course in at the building level, so they opt to take it online. This is not elementary students. It's your high school students. The courses that we have. Since 2008, we have created 317 courses from scratch by our teachers for our students. When we create a course, a district has the opportunity to own the course. It becomes a product for you. If you own a course, anytime a student enrolls into the course, you actually get money back on that course. Many of our districts use that as a way to defer their costs and to offset the costs for their consortium fees. And in fact, starting in the 1920 school year, we had 3 districts that were able to completely cover their consortium fee with their reimbursements from their courses. There is a benefit to having your teachers take the time to build courses and for the district to own that as an asset. We wanted to give you a financial stake in this. We wanted to help offset those costs as much as possible, and this is how we do it. We also know how hard it is to build courses. Before I came to the intermediate unit, I actually worked for an ed tech company, and I was a course designer, and I learned how to build asynchronous online courses. And it is not a fast thing if you want it to be a high-quality course that meets the needs of your students. We can't turn around and build a course overnight, so instead, our districts asked us to partner with some reputable vendors, the first being Accelerate Education, who's used by multiple companies to help them fill gaps for their courses. Our districts then said, you know what, we need more in terms of world languages. We partnered with World of Learning Institute at Intermediate Unit 8. We also work with former Pittsburgh Steeler, Wes Lyons, for his Pursuit program, which helps students to focus on career readiness, but also to understand how to go through life when life throws you challenges. And he uses his personal stories and comes and meets students and works with them directly. Over the last year, our district said, hey, Becky, we need a synchronous option. We're not sure if asynchronous is the best. We might need to go synchronous. Help us figure it out. We spent months researching, brainstorming, working with superintendents, working with our local curriculum council, working with teachers to determine what would make the most sense. What we landed on and what is new this year is we now have a partnership with Pearson to offer their Connexus program, which is all K-12 synchronous online courses. When it comes to the content, other than the vendor content, when it comes to the 317 courses that we created, they are developed with our students in mind, no one else. Our students are our priority. Every course is developed using the 7 principles of good practice for online learning, and you have a copy of those rubrics in your folder. Each teacher every year goes through an instructional review, a self-review, and then has an individualized coaching session with me. I go through every single course. The year after that, they get an instructional design review from our instructional design specialist to make sure that the course is working to the best of its ability, to make sure that the content is where it needs to be. It's not presented in a way that could prevent students from being unable to absorb that content and really understand it deeply. 2 years for one course. We use student data to make sure that it is as effective as possible. And once we've gone through those 2 years, they get a 1-year break from us, and then we go into that course again, because teachers do have multiple courses that we go through. Somebody once said to me that it was impossible for us to have our teachers develop their own courses because we don't have the time and the effort and the energy or the skills to do this. And I said, this is exactly what we do every day. We go through these courses all the time. The teachers are in those courses every day. They make sure that they meet the needs of our students. And then finally, your support system. I wanted you to see the faces that are behind the scenes, because a lot of these people don't ever get the shout out that I think they deserve. Tim Hamill, the godfather of E Academy, who always blushes when I say that, but it's true. Thank you for leading our districts in this, and I am so glad to be next to you. Rachel Barner is our distance learning clerk. She's right down here. Rachel Barner not only is really passionate about supporting our districts, but she is also the parent of a former E Academy student. She lives in the Yawk School District. She works with parents regularly and shares her perspective and her experiences with them so they know that they're not alone. Sue Soltis is our instructional design specialist, and she is the most detail-oriented person I have ever met in my life, and she pushes teachers to make those courses better day after day, and she is a constant source of inspiration for them. Dave Regula and John Lohr are even further behind the scenes. Dave is the first line of defense in our help desk system, which you can see a shot of right here. He is the one that is answering the questions and is jumping on Zoom to help troubleshoot problems. He's the one that has to remote into someone's laptop when they borrow one from us. He is right there alongside your students, and John is the one making sure everything's working all the time. He's the one that's up at 3 a.m. if something goes wrong, and it very rarely goes wrong for long because John's right there. We are all here for you in any way that we can be. In your packets, we also have some testimonials from some of our local superintendents. Right here, I have Dr. Ken Bissell from Greensburg-Salem talking about how E-Academy has helped their district. Dr. Shannon Wagner from Burrell, who was one of the first superintendents to really lead the charge in the county to say, here's what we need and here's why we need it. And then I also have Mr. Dan Smith, Director of Technology and Innovation at Kiski. Not only is he their Director of Technology and Innovation, he's also an E-Academy teacher as well. He sees it from all angles. So please feel free to review those testimonials, and please know that we are always here for you. No matter what you decide to do, no matter where you decide to go, whatever you need from the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit, we are always here. If anyone has any questions or comments, please just let me know. Perfect.
You can hear the response.
Absolutely. Works for me. Thank you.
Yes, Sam. Maybe see your phone.
Hey folks, I'm Sam Pickerine from EduSeer. May I take the microphone mobile with me so I can click around on the laptop? Any issues? Okay, thanks. Perfect, yeah. Thanks for having me this evening, everyone. Like I said, my name's Sam Pickerine from EduSeer. I'd just like to tell you a little bit about what we can offer your district. It was a wonderful, first of all, I'd say that was a wonderful presentation from Becky. It really, you have a great thing going. You have one of the best intermediate units in the state. I've met with a lot of them. I'm not just saying that, great things. There's so much that they do for you, online learning and beyond. And we can just be another tool for your school, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about what we do. EduSeer has been around for 20 years now, providing virtual ed to K-12 schools. That's really the takeaway from this slide. And it's important that I explain really the nature of who we are and how we interact. So EduSeer works with a number of different providers, over 40, so that we can offer, now it's over 10,000 different courses. So we can kind of be the one-stop shop, anything you may need. Princeton Review offers some SAT, ACT test prep you see up at 11 o'clock. Arabic Academy for Arabic courses. The top left provider is Eastern Mediterranean University for Turkish language ESL. Not a common need, but it illustrates the point that, in fact, the school said, do you have Turkish language ESL? One time we said no, and then we went out and found someone who did, and we're able to sort of make the connection. So it just illustrates we really have all sorts of obscure electives. But really who I'll focus on tonight, because we're really talking, we do everything as far as online learning goes. Credit recovery, single courses you may not offer in the building that you'd like to, courses you do offer to solve scheduling conflicts, homebound instruction, short term, and then also this big issue I think is the main focus this evening of really students doing their full curriculum online and keeping them in the district rather than leaving for a cyber charter school. Because we see there was great data. I mean, it is, budgets are getting fleeced all around the state and the country, really. So we need to figure something out. So all that to say, we have these different providers, but I'm going to focus on Founders Education there at 6 o'clock. They're our main provider. We're their exclusive registration partner. I should also say, I guess, that when EduSeer charges what all of these providers charge for courses or less, and then we add value to the service that they provide. So Founders is really our main provider because if they offer a course, we use them for it. If I had to summarize, they offer really everything a student would need to graduate. So all of the core courses, certainly, I'll explain that a little bit more, but they have electives too, like French and German and Spanish 1 through 4, and gym and health and life skills and econ and sociology. It goes on. But why do we like Founders so much? And you can see our branding is even similar. We work so closely. EduSeer's headquarters is in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. Founders is about 20 minutes east of there, right on sort of the border in Pennsylvania still, though. So why is Founders our favorite? The main reason would be, for me, instant access to teachers. It's kind of the most important thing in education is your teachers, for good reason. So the biggest complaint that we were hearing from students, especially out at the cyber charter schools, but really anyone doing online learning, is parents will say, Kevin, work on your trigonometry homework, please. You know, it's 9 a.m., you need to get up and work on it. And Kevin says, okay, I have a question about trigonometry, so I emailed the teacher. And sometimes the teachers at the charter school will get back to the students in 20 minutes. Which is like a miracle turnaround time for that student, especially classroom teachers the same. If there's a classroom teacher getting back to a student in 20 minutes, they really deserve an award. They have so much on their plate. But from the student's perspective, that can still be too long, because I was an unmotivated high school student. And so when I had 20 minutes to wait for a response to my question, that was right about when I would turn on my Xbox and lose track. I did well at Penn State. In high school, I had to mature a little bit, okay? But I can sort of sympathize with some of these students who really motivation is the most important part. So I'm trying to illustrate the point that it's not just about having the access to the Pennsylvania certified subject matter teachers that we have, but it's really important that it be instant. So when our students sit down and they're ready to work on their courses, we've eliminated the roadblocks. They can keep working on their courses. So important. Instant teacher is what we call the solution that we use to sort of deliver this. So anytime students are in a Founders course, they click a button and they get one-on-one access to the Pennsylvania certified subject matter teacher, highly qualified teacher. They can do this through really 3 main mediums. One would be typing back and forth with the instructor, like you can kind of see there. And the other most common, maybe you're trying to figure out how to pronounce Spanish, nosotros. You can't really type that out, so students also have the option to call Founders Education and speak with the instructors. But maybe you're trying to figure out what a hypotenuse is, and that can be difficult if you're only typing or speaking, so these students have the virtual whiteboard as well. So the student can draw a triangle on their end, and on the other end the teacher circles the hypotenuse for a simple example. Not so simple for me, but I could probably figure the hypotenuse. Certainly all of the teachers will have better handwriting than me in the example up here. That's not a promise, but it is I bet, right? This is available to students, the Instant Teacher, from 7:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. So when the school day starts, throughout the school day, and then even after the traditional school hours, they'll have some time until 7:30, instant access to teachers. Now those are the school year hours, okay? So it actually expands in the summer. We have some more flexibility. In the summer, really, that's kind of how we got here. We have a couple kids who need courses in the summer. Students in the summer have this instant teacher access, 7:30 a.m. until 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. And on Saturdays and Sundays, 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. This is why I work here, frankly. The most access to teachers, I think that's the most important part of education, and it's the thing that we're the best at. So here's Founders course costs. Now, I want to show you another slide that's going to be more relevant for students doing their full curriculum online. But these are what we call the a la carte founders course costs. So a complete original credit full year course. This would be like the 1 credit Algebra 1 lasts 9 months like a school year would. These are self-paced courses, by the way, asynchronous, if you will. So students can log in 24/7. They can be completed in less than 9 months, but that's what they're designed for, like a traditional course I'm trying to illustrate. So an Algebra 1 course, for example, a full credit course, $399. And then we also, of course, have the half year or half credit courses that are 4 months, but it can, of course, they're self-paced, and the half credit is $199.50. Then the third cost you see there is the abbreviated course. That's really like the credit recovery course designed for summer school. So these are a 60-day course. We can offer them year-round, but it's for the student who has the seat time in the course but needs to recover the credit. And that's a full credit of credit recovery, I should say. $195. A good time to mention that there's no minimum purchase, no sign-up fee, or anything like that. So let's say there's a student who wants 1 credit recovery course, and if the students were paying for the courses over the summer, there would be 0 cost to the school. The student or families would pay $195. If the school would like to pay, perfect. The total cost for 1 kid to do credit recovery, $195. And really, we are, like I said at the beginning, another resource. So there's so much that you do, including with the IU, and we just want to be another option for you however you work with us. Like lots of schools, frankly, most of the schools in Westmoreland County are using us on this kind of a la carte basis. That's how, here's a good example, a case study, if you will. Mount Lebanon started working with us. They didn't even want to use our credit recovery courses at first, but they needed credit recovery for prospective NCAA athletes. And the NCAA is very strict, so we had the complete original, I should just say the complete original credit courses. We have the NCAA certified versions of them. I'll follow up with some information, and especially with Vince, and we can distribute it, but we have a little link where you can go on the Clearinghouse's website and see the long list. That's the little gap we filled at Mount Lebanon, and then slowly things progressed and they're doing more and more, but there's no need to. You get the same pricing, all schools get the same pricing, so whether it would be the Philadelphia School District or Quigley Catholic, which is now closed, but that was one of the first schools I started working with, and I had a great time. I love the name, and it was a very small school just north of Pittsburgh in the Archdiocese of Pittsburgh. They all pay the same cost, whether you have 10,000 students or 1 student who needs a course, same costs. Let's keep these prices in mind. I'm going to come back to this slide, which explains the curriculum a bit more. But this slide is explaining the Founders Academy seat license. So as you see in the first bullet, this is really for students doing their full curriculum online. The first bullet point says that this was designed as an alt-ed solution, sort of like how East Allegheny used it. But then cyber charter student retention is really what I've seen it used for even more. Of course, in the past couple of years, it's been a great resource during the pandemic for students who don't feel comfortable coming into the building. But cyber charter retention is how I've helped the most schools the most, if you will. We've already illustrated the costs when a student leaves the district. It can vary. Maybe it's $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $20,000 if the student is a special education student. And that's money that we would really like to keep within the district. So to be very clear, that's what we are trying to do here. Keep the students in your district. Students enrolled in the Founders Academy program would still be members of your district. And of course, you have oversight over all of this, but they would, as long as you allow it, they would be able to play on your football team and go to prom, and you would retain the per pupil funding. The cost for a seat license is $1,999, and that gives you unlimited access to Founders courses. Pardon me. So to give you an example, we were looking at the individual course costs, $399 for a full credit course. Maybe a high school student takes 8 of those. That cost would be $3,200. And then Billy Mays, right? But wait, there's more. That's sort of the Founders Academy seat license. This is a way to cap your costs for a student doing their full curriculum online. That student doing 8 courses, it would not be $3,200. Your cost for them would be $1,999. And it's really unlimited Founders courses. They could take 12 if they were so ambitious, or 15, whatever it may be. Some other key points on this. The seat licenses are transferable insofar as, this can be a transient population, especially, things seem to be stabilizing, but you'll always have students going in and out of online learning, especially during the pandemic. I'm sure you saw that, like I did everywhere. So maybe you start the year with 10 students in seat licenses, and then in October, 3 of them decide, this wasn't for me, I'm coming back into your brick and mortar school. So at that point, you would have 3 vacant seat licenses that you could put 3 new students into without purchasing another seat license. I hope that makes sense. And of course, I'll be available for questions as well. The seat licenses run through the school year. We'll postpone this forced restart. 8 hours should get us through the rest of my presentation, hopefully, okay? So the seat licenses are transferable in that regard. No minimum purchase with these either. You don't have to even sort of tell us up front. You have another student who, you start with 0. 1 kid wants to do this. Maybe they found you already have a program for students, but this student is only going to stay in your district and not go to a cyber charter if they can do Founders. And so we'll help you with that 1 kid, no problem. I think I've hit the key points on the seat license itself, but let me go back and talk about the curriculum, Founders curriculum a little bit. So I'll email you a little PDF that'll blow this up for you, and it's nice, pretty, and shiny. But some key points. The Curriculum Revolution is sort of the campaign that Founders Education is always going through to improve the courses, keep them up to the standards, make sure that they are engaging, maybe the most important part of an online course alongside or behind access to teachers, maybe even more than, is that the student logs in the first place and is engaged by the curriculum. So they have a campaign called University City Studios, trying to make it seem like the courses came from a Hollywood studio. And, I would rather see like the new Top Gun movie than take our chemistry course, but the point is they're really as engaging as a chemistry course maybe could be. Curriculum Revolution is also illustrating that they're increasing the courses that they have. So even maybe, don't quote me on this, but I would say certainly, let's say 4 years ago, Founders definitely did not have French and German. They had Spanish 1 through 3. And now we have Spanish, French, and German 1 through 3. It's just a small example. Actually, in the past couple days, we just got an AP course within the Founders umbrella. To be clear, we have all the AP courses online. One of them just came under the Founders umbrella, which is a great campaign that I'm really excited about for schools. To hit some highlights of the bullet points you probably can't quite see from where you're sitting. We have the courses at different rigor levels, so an essentials or basic version, which is sort of an off-the-shelf version of a course for a student with an IEP or 504 plan. We have the college prep version of a course, which is just that. And then we have an honors version of a course, which really is quite rigorous. It has a capstone assignment in it with a research paper in the first semester and a multimedia presentation in the second, and of course checkpoints throughout where you're checking in with the teacher to make sure you're on pace. They're difficult, and we warn students of that, but some of them are ready for the challenge. We talked about some of the subject areas Founders themselves can cover: art, business, personal finance, financial literacy, English, French, German, health, history, test prep, Spanish, it goes on. The proven instructional methods. Let me just hit 2 really important points for me. This is illustrating that we've worked with curriculum directors around the state and really country to make sure these courses have what online learning needs. But something that's, somewhat unique, for better or worse. I wish really every online course had this, but Founders courses include original writing. So that's really important. Sometimes there's an online course that's all multiple choice. And there's just a piece missing for me there when a student maybe does online learning in your district 4 years in a row, A+, honors diploma, A+ in English every year, but they've never necessarily written a sentence. There's just, like I said, a piece missing for me. So the founders courses all have original writing. They, in English, write 5 paragraphs on what was Macbeth's tragic flaw, and the student writes their essay. Our teacher, human of course, teachers grade the assignments. Pennsylvania certified, they'll give the students feedback based on a rubric, and then some customized, a paragraph or two, giving them feedback on how they can improve their grade, because they can resubmit the original writing one time. And then in a math course, it would be the same, but medium, but it would be the most, I always found annoying and learned the most beneficial part of a math education. Show your work. Here's the open-ended problem. Most important part of math. So same deal, our teachers graded, give the students feedback, and they could resubmit. That's just really important to me. The last point I want to mention on this slide is that we can make accommodations to meet a student's IEP or 504 plan at no additional cost. And there's obviously going to be some IEPs. Most IEPs we can completely accommodate. Think about it. The most common accommodations might be unlimited test time or preferential seating. Certainly those things are built into the course. There are many other accommodations we can make. The ones we might not are the obvious ones, like any accommodation that requires a human sitting next to them. And so for those, we just work with the school district to figure something out. Oftentimes, we're working with the intermediate units that are so helpful to school districts, sometimes providing special education services to you. So we always find a way to make sure all of the IEPs and 504s are accommodated, but there would be no additional cost when we're looking at those, which comes in handy when you're retaining this per pupil funding for a student. This slide, this is explaining our Ed Sembler and how we help with homebound instruction. So to summarize it for you, basically this is a nice backup where we often hear you have plenty of teachers who are interested and willing to do homebound, maybe until the sun gets nice, the sun comes out, the weather gets nice, and it can be harder to find teachers for good reason. In COVID, during the pandemic, maybe you couldn't send a teacher to the student's home for 2.5 hours twice a week. So this is a nice backup. What we do is you register the student, and then we email the student's teachers in the classroom and ask them what lessons they plan to be teaching from, say, September 1st through 15th when the student is out. And then we pull exactly those lessons, create a little mini course, and deliver it to the student while they are homebound. And the cost for that is $29 per course, per student, per week. We talked about the seat license. I won't go into the details of the Ed Folio, which is really we were working with Bethel Park, who asked us to create something when the mandate first came out, and basically satisfies that if you need help with that. Some schools do, some schools don't. This slide's just illustrating some schools that we work with in Pennsylvania. So the point is all different types, massive schools and tiny schools and rural schools and urban schools. And some schools use us for every single solution we offer, and some schools only call us every other year when they need NCAA certified credit recovery courses. So we can help everyone somehow. This slide's just explaining that the College Board did a study. It's really illustrating that people have a lot on their plate, and everyone's job description probably includes something, or maybe doesn't include something that they're doing these days. And we just assign a personal learning coach to every school and student that we work to. So they're another point of contact alongside myself. I'll be here. I've been here. I took a straight path from Chartiers Valley, Penn State. 2 weeks later, I was working for EduSeer. That was like 10 years ago. So I will be here if you have some need for us. But so will the personal learning coach. If a student had a question now while I'm here with you, I wouldn't answer my phone, but the personal learning coach may. So, like I said, maybe the student has an IEP, and the personal learning coach, who have all been, or all are, I should say, certified teachers, but not acting in that capacity, not employed in that capacity. And now this is really a non-academic role. It's like instant teacher for non-academic needs, if you will. Okay, someone you can call and speak to. When you call EduSeer's main number, do it tomorrow, a human will pick up, and there's a chance it'll be me that picks up the phone when you call EduSeer. The number's right on the website. Say hi, I encourage you. Or ask for Sam, and someone will lean over their shoulder probably and say, Sam, someone, anyway. Personal learning coach, like I said, if they have if a kid has an IEP, they'll work with a certified special ed coordinator to make the accommodations. But also, maybe a parent wants to call in because they want help navigating the course. Their student understands it and they want to know how to tag along, and we'll be there for that. Maybe they have a tech issue. Their internet cut out while they were taking an exam, and we can verify that and reset it for them. It's really just a way to speak to a human whenever you have any sort of non-academic needs. So while they're certified teachers, they won't be teaching your students long division. That would be the instant teacher. And then EdTel is our learning management system, which is getting more powerful every year, and we're collecting ed surveys and grades and communications. But in practice, this is how students sign up for their courses and how you monitor them in their courses. So I think let me show you a snapshot of the monitoring. To give you an idea, I was saying how if students are paying for any courses, there's no cost to the district. So Manchester High School for summer school, they just put our link on their website. Students would register themselves, pay us directly, no cost to the school. But if the school's paying, you would just go through the registration process. And I want to skip ahead in my PowerPoint because I'll come back to some sort of customized links for your school. But, okay, so this slide's illustrating that we're sending out progress reports to the students and parents and you, the school. Every week, a student, a parent, or two parents, if you'd like to include them when registering, as well as the school, get an email progress report indicating where you should be progress-wise to complete the course by your school's course end date versus where you are. And there's no penalty for being behind or bonus for being ahead, but the biggest determinant, of a student's success in these online courses, obviously, is that they log in and stay on pace. So we want everyone to be engaged and in the loop and kind of helping that. No waiting for Superman, but more everyone trying to do their part and get the student to do the work, learn the material, and have some fun doing it. The phone call progress reports are just another angle to hit you from, and they'll go to students and parents every other week. The purpose of these is certainly to tell you where you stand grade and progress-wise, but more so it's to have that cell phone vibrate and remind you to work on your course, because obviously students have 24/7 access to their grades and progress, as do you at the school. So this is a snapshot of the administrative portal. You'd see every student taking a course with EduSeer there from a school's perspective, and you'd be able to go in, click on the course, see when they submitted an assignment, what their grade was on it, feedback, etc. Constantly updated. Their grade if no more work is done, the grade to date, the final grade appears here when it's relevant, and we send a separate final grade report. The administrative and progress monitoring is seamless. The last thing I wanted to show you was a little sort of customized, let's see here. Let me show you this one. So this is sort of a draft registration link. I have no signal, just a moment. This is a draft registration link, and I hope it pops up. But the point of it is that we will, it's customized for your school. Wonderful. And so this is an example of one for credit recovery or abbreviated courses. And the courses, you see the Scotty coat of arms up there and your school's name, but more importantly, this is correlated to the courses that you offer in the building. So you'll see your course titles here, and the course is all correlated. This is for credit recovery, so it really mirrors your program of studies. There's another one that would be for, say, new credit courses that would mirror your program of studies, and then also include courses you may not offer. Of course, you determine as a school what would be included on here and what wouldn't be appropriate, but the point is, it's most important that registration's easy with your course titles, and it's also very important that students are taking, for sequencing reasons, recovery reasons, the courses you offer in the building. other schools in Westmoreland County I think most are offering more of a British literature in 12th grade, but at Southmoreland, it's more of like it's more of like a world literature. So we want to make sure whatever's being offered in the building is offered online. And really, I'm happy and hopeful that to answer questions, that concludes my presentation. I'd summarize it all by saying, another resource for you, the best prices for the school and for students, and the most access to Pennsylvania certified teachers in the world. Thank you, folks. Would you like me to field some questions? Should I pass this microphone to you? Sure.
Goodness, my legs stopped working.
Does anybody have any questions?
Both great presentations.
Yes.
Oh, I guess all three. We sat through three.
Thank you very much, Becky and your team, and Sam, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Minutes of May 12th, 2022 discussion meeting.
The board will be asked to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2022 discussion meeting.
So moved.
Discussion. This is just discussion now. Does anybody have any discussion?
I got you.
Sorry. Can the minutes please reflect that Mrs. O'Rear left? She asked to be excused. Okay, no discussion. Minutes of the May 19th, 2022 voting meeting.
The board will be asked to approve the minutes of the May 19th, 2022 voting meeting.
Discussion. Minutes of the May 26th, 2022 special voting meeting.
The board will be asked to approve the minutes of the May 26th, 2022 special voting meeting.
Discussion. Monthly board treasurer's report.
The board will be asked to approve the treasurer's report for the month of April 2022.
Discussion. General fund board summary report.
The board will be asked to approve the board summary report for April 2022.
Discussion. Accounting and food service check summary.
The board will be asked to approve the fund accounting and food service check summary listing for May 2022.
Discussion. Cyber charter expense analysis.
That was for informational purposes. Pam, do you have anything you would?
I can tell you that I was just kind of looking and monitoring some costs today. And year to date, now obviously this one that you'll be asked to look at is through April, but year to date, we have spent on cyber charter costs $1,380,201. Currently, there is a balance in our budget for that line item of $36,799. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for a lot of the June invoices to come in, so as I had predicted, it's going to be a little bit over from what I can see.
Is there any other discussion? Building activity fund information.
Pam, do you have anything that you need to add to that?
I do not.
Superintendent information.
I just have one quick thing. I included on board docs, we received confirmation of our emergency instructional time template, so that has already been turned in and approved. So now we have to work on a 22-23 one. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Business manager, transportation director information.
I have a couple quick things. As we discussed earlier, the facade repair is ongoing this week, should be completed by tomorrow. We had a pre-construction meeting, Mr. Mash and myself, Mark Scheller, and the gentleman from the paving company the other day. They are slated to start on Monday. And we also had a pre-bid meeting with the RTU individuals last week.
Anything else?
That's all that I can think of for now.
Thank you. Solicitor information.
I have nothing to present at this time.
Booster club policy.
The board authorized the administration to post for 30 days draft policy 915 and the attached Booster Club guidelines on April 28, 2022. The current active policy 915 is included as a comparison. The board will be asked to consider the approval of the draft policy 915 and the attached Booster Club guidelines as posted.
Discussion. Homestead and farmstead exclusion.
Southmoreland School Board will be asked to approve the homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution as to the amounts and in the form attached hereto and incorporated by reference.
Discussion.
I can just basically tell you this year we had quite a bit more that came in the gambling funds. Last year it was 900, and if memory serves me, it was $980-some thousand. This year it's $1,182,578. So obviously our individuals will be getting a better homestead farmstead exclusion this year of $284.75.
Thank you. Real estate taxation.
The Southmoreland School Board will be asked to approve the adoption of the real estate taxes in accordance with Section 687 of the School Code of 1949 as amended. Be it resolved that the Southmoreland School Board approves adoption of the following real estate taxes in accordance with Section 687 of the School Code of 1949 as amended and as already calculated and stated herein using the multi-county rebalancing based upon the methodology of Public School Code Section 672-1A1 using Pennsylvania Department of Education's CRFS-GSB application for multi-county school districts and within the index of Special Section Act 1 of June 27, 206, PL 1873 as amended June 20th, 2011, PL 148, number 2553, PS 6926-101 et sec. Number 1, a tax of 90.9311 mils upon all real estate subject to taxation within Westmoreland County and the Southmoreland School District, and the rate of taxation in dollars and cents on each $100 of assessed valuation of taxable property is 9.09311. Number 2, a tax of 16.5418 mils upon all real estate subject to taxation within Fayette County in the Southmoreland School District. The rate of taxation in dollars and cents on each $100 of assessed valuation of taxable property is 1.65418. Number 3, the real estate taxes shall be due and payable as follows: 2% discount when paid from August 1st to September 30th, 2022. Face value when paid from October 1st to November 30th, 2022. 10% penalty when paid on December 1st, 2022 and thereafter.
Discussion.
Yes, I would like to discuss this. This represents a huge tax increase on our constituents. The stock market is losing approximately $1,000 a day. 401k plans are cut in half. It is predicted that our country is going to go into a terrible recession. And I simply do not understand how we can sit here and raise their property taxes. I believe it's 7% for just local property taxes, in view of the tragic situation that we are facing in our economy today. I will never vote for this. I would never vote to pass this. I will not be present at the meeting on June 30th, and I'll explain why. And I just think that the people in this district are going to be really, really hurting. I don't see anybody here who's upset about it, so maybe all of you are so well off that you don't have anything to worry about. But this is going to be huge, and it is permanent. And in view of what is happening in our economy today, I see this as a tragedy.
Did you bring a list of cuts with you tonight? I mean, because this is where our choices are. Nobody's sitting at this table wanting to raise taxes. Everybody's sitting at this table when it's a vote to raise taxes. It raises my taxes. It raises everybody's taxes at this table. We are all in the same predicament, going to the grocery store, going to the gas pump. No matter where we're going, we're facing the same things. So I hear you all the time about a tax increase, but I don't see you coming to the table with things that we can actually cut that are not mandated by law, that are not part of contracts, that are not part of PEASers, that are not health care expenses, that are not turning the lights on in this building. The only thing that can be cut from this district basically is athletics and anything that is educational for our students. So I'm just wondering, when you come here, you make accusations against the rest of us here as if we're sitting here wanting to raise taxes. It's not a 7% increase. It is
It's up to the index of 4.6%, but please keep in mind that due to the rebalancing, as we discussed in the last meeting, that unfortunately Westmoreland County was increased almost a full mil prior to us doing anything, due to rebalancing, due to the stub market valuation from the...
And I have never mentioned the fact that we have 1,200 empty seats in our schools.
Okay, so I didn't bring my paper with me, but it is not 1,200 empty seats. There's about 986 empty seats in this district that are spread throughout. The majority of them are on the 3rd floor of the high school. There's some in this building. So when you say that, I want you to put a poll out there to all the parents in this district. That's what I want you to do, to see who wants to next year send their child who just finished 4th grade over here to the middle school for 5th grade. Then I want you to do another poll that says who wants their child who just finished 7th grade to now move to the high school. And then I'd like you to tell us what the cost is going to be to the district and the taxpayers to put another cafeteria in these buildings. There's not enough room. I didn't design this building. I wasn't here whenever this was done. It was poorly done. We should have brought everybody from Alverton at that point over here to this building, but the building needed to be bigger. It's not bigger. This is what we have. So when you keep touting 1,200 empty seats, who do you suggest we move where? Because I personally wouldn't want my 4th grader coming to a building where we have sat and said that we have problems with students vaping in the bathroom. I don't want my 4th grader now exposed to that. Nor do I want my 8th grader or 7th grader exposed to issues that are occurring at the high school. It's very easy to sit here and say we have X amount of empty seats. First of all, your number is not accurate. That might have been including Roughdale, but we don't have Roughdale any longer. So, I mean, I just don't understand where the philosophy is of who's going to move where, because there isn't the room. Even if you move 1 grade from over at the elementary school to this building, there is not the room to move every student from SPC over to the elementary school. So you're going to have to move 2 grades over this building. Where do they eat? How do we put more cafeteria time into their day? There's a sign back there. What did it say? What time do lunches start? At 10 something? We start lunch here? I mean, let's just start at 8 o'clock. They can roll into the building and they can have lunch. and then go about their day. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Absolutely, there are no solutions to be had. What we need to do is continue to raise taxes and never really deal with the root causes of why we're having these problems.
But did you bring the solutions, is what she's asking.
Absolutely. There are committees that are established. You have to, you don't do this as one person. There has never been a committee established in this school district to look at placements, empty seats, changes. It's never happened.
There was a feasibility study a few years ago, I believe.
Where is it?
We're on the board.
I saw it. There was nothing, there was nothing to it. The numbers that I'm using come from the architect's plans. When they say building capacity, are you saying they lied,
Eccles.
Michelle?
No, Catherine, I'm not saying they lied. I'm saying that I literally went through the Eccles plan, which was the architect, and it says X amount of seats in this building. And then I went through how many students do we have in each building? Grade by grade, I went through that.
And you say there's 900 and some empty seats.
There's like 986.
And that is insignificant to you?
I just explained to you that the majority of those seats are in two buildings where we cannot move the students from Alberton.
Don't solve the problems.
Well, and I
Don't
think,
even attempt to.
I think when they did the feasibility study, one of the options was to move kindergarten to the high school on the third floor,
Yes.
which is
Very inappropriate.
really inappropriate.
It was not done by the board. It was done by an outside firm. This board has never really sat down and said, let's look at what's happening to this school district as a whole.
Does anybody else have any comments, discussion? Sorry, I've lost my place. Yeah, but I don't even know which section of number 37. Okay. Nope. Here we go. Continuing taxes for 2022-2023 fiscal year.
The Southmoreland School Board will be asked to approve the continuation of all taxes levied by the school district of Southmoreland in full force and effect, including those under Act 511, the Local Tax Enabling Act, 53 PS Statute 6901 et sec, earned income tax according to Act 511 at 0.5%, emergency and municipal service tax according to Act 511 at $5 per person, and real estate transfer tax according to Act 511 at 0.5%.
Discussion. Clelian Heights Annual Service Agreement.
The board will be asked to consider the renewal of the annual service agreement for Clelian Heights for the 22-23 school year.
Discussion. EITC letter for West Overton Village and Museums.
The board will be asked to consider approving an EITC letter for the West Overton Village and Museums for the 2022-2023 school year.
Discussion.
All I got was a description of what they do. Is there a letter?
That's their letter.
Yeah, but do they ask for EITC? I mean, I don't see it, but
That's all I was provided.
yeah, I mean, it's just a statement saying what they do, but
Right.
have they submitted an official request for EITC money?
They
This is just
requested that we put together that
Yeah.
paper that's in your hand and send to them, and then I guess they have a packet. I'm not sure what all they provide to the people they're asking for money from.
It's my understanding that these people get huge grants. They run a
What is EITC?
earned income tax credit. I don't know, I just saw a description here. I didn't see any requests, but if you say they made the request, it's fine. I don't care. Yeah.
Any other discussion? EITC letter for Scottsdale Public Library.
The board will be asked to consider providing an EITC letter for the Scottsdale Public Library for the 2022-2023 school year.
Discussion. Board Docs LT.
The board will be asked to consider the renewal of Board Docs LT through PSBA as the third party at a cost of $2,700 for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
Discussion? PARSS 2022-2023 district membership dues.
The board will be asked to renew the district membership dues with the Pennsylvania Association of Rural and Small Schools for the 2022-2023 school year at a one-year membership due of $890.
Discussion?
Did we do this last year? Or did we vote it down?
Thought we did that last year.
2021.
I thought we'd approve.
Okay. Just wondered.
K-12 virtual education service options.
The board will be asked to choose a K-12 virtual education service for the 2022-2023 school year. The options are renew the E-Academy Consortium Agreement for the 2022-2023 school year by choosing from two payment options. One-year agreement, $18,000. Three-year agreement, $16,000 per year, $2,000 annual discount. The terms of the agreement are the same regardless of the length chosen. And EduSeer, who was the second presenter here, and there is information attached concerning both.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion?
So if we're choosing between these two, do you think it's even plausible to start something new and have it up and running and ready to go for students, and by the time we get this done, like 45 days?
I would like to really reach out. They said that EduSeer said that they worked with the IUs. I would really like to maybe think outside the box and see if there isn't some way that we can do a combination of both, to see, how that might be a match. So I wanted them to come in and do the presentation tonight so that we had the information available, and then I would like to have further deeper discussions with both the IU and EduSeer as to see what actually could be, a good fit for Southmoreland School District.
I think that would be great, and I think it's something maybe that you then bring to us as a recommendation. I think that would be really good.
I liked the support for their credit recovery. I had worked with a student on a credit recovery last summer, and there wasn't enough. It was a chemistry course, and there wasn't really enough information just given in this booklet for him to be able to figure things out. And I really liked that with that, he would have access to a teacher, and the cost was, I think, on par with what we pay for credit recovery now. So I liked that extra support for the students.
I also think it's really booklet. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm still sorry. I also think it's really important that we figure out what these other districts are doing to have their teachers creating content for this, because I think that is an area that obviously we're very much lacking. And whether it's we're offering them incentives to do this, I think that would be important, and we should be doing that if they're going to be teachers for this and creating content. I think that reaching out to these other schools, I mean, I'm sure the IU knows what they're doing, but I think that we're not using SOLA to its max capacity. I think there's a lot of things that we're not taking advantage of, and I would like to see us begin to do that, especially if we can offset costs.
Yeah, as was pointed out, I do believe there are 3 districts that have their fees caused.
Yeah. Is there any other discussion? Percussion instructor.
The board will be asked to approve Jeremiah Hutter as the marching band percussion instructor for the 2022-2023 school year at a supplemental salary of $1,400. All clearances are current and on file with the administration.
Any discussion? Okay. But I have a question. Mr. Deliker, so on the next item, this is the item we were going to table. do we read this and table it, or do we not need to table it technically because we're not voting this evening?
You don't need to table it technically because it's not a motion at this time.
Okay, so we should still just read this and then move on?
Yes.
Okay. Retirement of Pam Govern, custodian.
The board will be asked to accept the retirement of Pam Govern as custodian effective August 5th, 2022, and authorize administration to post and advertise the position.
Is there any discussion? Retirement of Edward Tilka, custodian.
The board will be asked to accept the retirement of Edward Tilka as custodian effective June 30th, 2022, and authorize administration to post and advertise the position.
Discussion. Quest bus driver, Chelsea Pasaga.
The board will be asked to approve Chelsea Pasaga as a Quest driver. All clearances are on file with administration and are up to date.
Discussion. Hiring of varsity football assistants and middle school coaches.
The board will be asked to approve the following positions at the request of Mr. Boring, AD. All clearances are current and are on file with the administration. Positions and supplemental salaries for the 2022-2023 school year are varsity football, Shane Swope, first assistant, $5,425. Jordan Polakowski, football assistant, $4,600. Dave Wotanowski, football assistant, $4,600. Dave, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. John DeMarco, football assistant, $4,600. Middle school, Jack McCloy, middle school head coach, $4,180. Jason Pletcher, middle school assistant, $2,800. Allie Grimm, middle school assistant girls soccer coach at $2,553. And Emily Franzek, head middle school cheer coach at $2,552.
Discussion. Grant tenure.
The board will be asked to grant tenure to Angela Salembo.
Discussion. Junior class sponsor.
The board will be asked to approve Jamie Gore as the junior class sponsor for the 2022-2023 school year at a supplemental salary of $1,650.
Discussion. Junior class sponsor.
The board will be asked to approve Larry Ansel as a junior class sponsor for the 2022-2023 school year at a supplemental salary of $1,650.
Discussion. National Honor Society, high school.
The board will be asked to approve Larry Ansel as a National Honor Society sponsor for the high school at a supplemental salary of $1,050 for the 2022-2023 school year.
Discussion. Before citizens' comments, I just want to remind the board that we had a couple issues that we were going to remain in executive for after the meeting.
Michelle, I have information that I need to share with the board.
In regards to?
As you know, I'm on the IU board.
And I asked what it was in regards to.
I'm on the IU board, and I'd asked the IU to give me statistics so that we could compare where Southmoreland stands in comparison to the other school districts in Westmoreland County. They gave me two sets of data, which I broke down and analyzed that I would like to share with the board. It lets you know where we stand and how things are in the county.
Doesn't this have to be on the agenda to discuss?
It does.
Comparing that, well, I'll just pass this out and you can throw it away if you want to. There's been a sharp decrease in student enrollment. Southmoreland is looking very good in terms of where they stand. Just won't bother with it. Shows the statistics. Shows how we're discussing where they stand in the county.
Just what you gave you this paper here.
What, Jason?
Is this what the IU gave you, this paper?
They gave me this.
Oh, that's what I'd like
They
to
gave
have.
me this.
That's what I'd like to
Okay.
have.
And what it does is gives you the data from here is transferred to there. The number of students in each district, percentages of special ed, decline in enrollment. For example, Southmoreland only, there's 43,000 students in Westmoreland County. Southmoreland has 4%. We have a 4% of the students, but that's okay. We'll
Can
not
you share the other data that you have that's not handwritten so that we can see the actual data?
Sure.
I'd rather have the raw data.
Me too.
You call the IU, and they'll be happy to send it to you.
I just probably look it up.
Here it is. There it is. You want to make copies? Here it is. This is the actual data from Dr. Conway at the IU. These are the actual figures.
Is there any citizens' comments? Mr. Kiefer, you can turn that so that you're addressing the board. Well, I would like you to turn it so you're addressing the board.
J&T for 620. I'd like to know what, ask the people of, is the microphone on?
I'm not sure that is the mic on.
I'd like to ask the presenters tonight what their limits of screen time were per day for children. It was working for the other people. Okay. So again, we haven't decided that there's a limit to screen time for children, both what you dump or push onto them and then what they're going to get at home and on their from their regular life. I was wondering if there was any ventilation improvements done to the school buildings since the COVID money started coming in. And Biden's going to roll out his plan for the next pandemic preparedness and how we're going to do it. And judging by your administration statements over the years, you'll follow it to the letter. And I'd just like you to reflect that you've not admitted that there was any misinformation and calculations and things that you based the lockdowns on and the masking policies and your vaccination policies. And without any admission of that, I'm just going to have to assume, and I think fairly so, that you don't have a good command of the critical perspective of what you've done over the last 2 years, and you're not going to grow from any of the mistakes that you should have learned from. That's evidenced to me by the committee meetings that aren't even meeting, and the one that I did attend that certainly wouldn't begin to touch on the subject. So when we talk about this perennial problem, taxes going up and everything, we have to keep in mind that the large percentage of our budget is the teachers' salaries, and everyone's going to say, well, we can't get teachers nowadays, the hours have to be up there, but we can't get garbage men nowadays. We can't get anybody nowadays. This is a problem, and you can go to the Department of Defense and say, hey, why are you spending so much money? The answer from big government is always the same as you gave out here tonight. I don't know what the answer is, but we're in a predicament now where I've never felt the grocery prices as they are. And we're in new territory here. I don't know how you're going to guarantee that we're going to be able to take care of our children in the next couple years financially. I see food shortages that we've never seen before that are around the world, and we're still going to be trying to get them hoagies and Mountain Dew when we need to actually have some critical, rational conversations. There's not been an adult conversation at Southmoreland since I've been watching every school board meeting for the last 10 years. There's not been one rational conversation about student health, about what you can't point to one thing that you've done over the pandemic's course now that students have learned to have a stronger immune system, either nutritionally or through other lifestyle things. Just the whole experience of public education with the artificial light, the artificial air, the nature and the industrial assembly line of the what education is, both here and internationally. So, you know, it's just like you
Time's
think
up,
you're,
Mr.
you
Kiefer.
think you're
Thank you.
You think you're local, but you're not. Dealing with these issues for me would be like trying to deal with the Department of Defense.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?